There you go.
There we go. All right, UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev, full card prediction with Jamal MMA series on YouTube. As usual, go down and support his channel. It's going to be the pin comment and in the pin description down below if you want to go check out his channel. But we're going to be breaking down every single fight for UFC 280. The main event of Oliveira Makhachev, the co-main of Aljamain Sterling and Cheater Dillashaw, however you want to say it. Piotr Jan O'Malley is on the card. One of the most stacked cards I've literally ever seen in UFC history, bottom to the top. And then maybe we'll look at some potential bets to make on this card as well if we want to do that. But yeah, let's start with the first one. Yamato, Nishikawa, Magomed, Mustafaev in the lightweight division is a short notice fight. Originally, it was going to be a banger. I mean, I was so looking forward to Jamie Malarkey, Magomed Mustafaev. I would have had Magomed Mustafaev winning that one second round knockout. I mean, if Michael Johnson's able to hurt you on the feet, I think Magomed Mustafaev could have a good possibility of knocking out Jamie Malarkey. But now we have the 19-year-old from Japan, 21-3-6, almost double the experience of Magomed Mustafaev, who has beaten Rafael Fiziev recently, only losing to Brad Riddell and Kevin Lee. This should be a banger in the lightweight division. Very young versus a guy that's almost double the age of Yamato Nishikawa. I'm going to go Magomed to land more kicks on the feet and eventually catch him with something to the body, a nice spin kick to the body, or he's going to just overwhelm Yamato in the second or third round, land some hooks on the feet and knock him out. But I think Magomed will get the finish in the later rounds.
Agreed. I also have the sniper Magomed Mustafaev here, an underrated UFC resume to say the least. Of course, the biggest of that being the one loss in the career of Rafael Fiziev, spinning back kick in St. Petersburg, I believe that fight was. And last time we seen him out against Brad Riddell. He's had a couple cancelled fights. Obviously talk about on this card, he was meant to fight Jamie Malarkey, but he's had a couple fights cancelled here and there in between that. He's been out for a couple of years now. But I do think that still the skill level that we've seen, especially in the feet, he's not exactly a grappler, you could say, which is what you expect from a guy who looks and has the same name as Magomed Mustafaev. You expect him to be a wrestler, but no, he's primarily a striker. And maybe a bit too much too soon. It's a very rough debut to get when you're Nishikawa here at 19 years old. So I'm going to give you here a bit. I'm going to go with Magomed Mustafaev inside the distance.
Yeah, and that's the weirdest thing here is a 19-year-old is taking on a guy that's already beaten a top 10 lightweight in the world, a guy I think can challenge for the UFC lightweight title in the next year or so. And this 19-year-old stepping in on short notice, so that's like huge respect for him to come out here and fight a guy like Magomed Mustafaev. First fight of the night, a lot of pressure on Magomed to win, because if he loses and Yamato can go out there and beat Magomed Mustafaev better than Brad Riddell and Kevin Lee did, because again, Brad Riddell got a split decision, barely beat Magomed Mustafaev. If Yamato can win as a 5 or 6 to 1 underdog here, he's going to skyrocket and the fans are going to go crazy, because when have we seen a 19-year-old in a debut against a guy kind of in that top 25 of that respected division? So should be a banger. I expect 3 rounds of striking in a very, very competitive fight on the feet, or Magomed just to knock him out in round 1, round 2. But it's a good fight in the lightweight division. Second fight of the night is not actually happening. It still says it on Tapology. Shamil Abdurakhimov, Jailton Almeida. Again, it's been canceled for the second time. Shamil on a 3-fight losing streak. I know Jamal has some friends that go onto his channel. Very big fans of Shamil, but I'm starting to get a little bit mad at Shamil for continuing to pull out of his fights. And again, has pulled out with Jailton. I'm not sure what card Jailton's going to be fighting on, but I don't actually think it's going to be on this UFC 280 card. So sad as I have to say it, we're not going to do a Jailton Almeida prediction on this card, which leads us.
Apologies to Shamil Abdurakhimov Appreciation Club, your man's off. I think Jailton's being rebooked for November 5th against Maxim Grishin. I think it's November 5th, might be a later card, but yeah, apologies to Shamil Abdurakhimov. Your man does not want to fight Jailton Almeida, but it's
not at all. Yeah, now Jailton's going to be at the 220-pound division, which is a division I personally think should get added, or maybe a 225-pound division for the guys that can realistically cut down to like 230 but are not able to go down to light heavyweight. they're just a little bit undersized for that heavyweight division. Jailton Almeida is one of those guys. So he just keeps on having these catch weights at 220, which is a reason I believe if there was a catch weight division or if there was an actual, I don't know, medium heavyweight division, something stupid like that, Jailton would be the champ. But sadly, he's not going to be on this one. We do have Lina, Lansberg, Karol, Rosa, a veteran of the game, taking on a girl that actually has more experience than the so-called veteran in Lina Lansberg, as she is 27 years old. Karol Rosa, only losing one time in the UFC in her last fight. In a fight, a lot of people thought she was going to go out there, maybe outstrike her, maybe out jiu-jitsu her, but Sarah McMahon kind of took all of that away from Karol Rosa, took all the hype and the projection of Karol Rosa's career just completely away by out wrestling and controlling Karol Rosa in that fight. Not something that Lina Lansberg per se is going to do. She also lost to Sarah McMahon 3 years ago, and then she lost to Pani Kianzad. She's solid. She did beat Macy Chasson, but that was about 3 years ago. She's not a very active fighter in this bantamweight division. Very close one. I got the old versus the young. I'm going to go Karol Rosa to just be a step ahead in every department. She's a little bit more fast in the strike and a little bit more power and athleticism on the feet as well, just for being the much younger opponent, has more experience in the wrestling and grappling. I think Karol has the advantage there. So not huge advantages for Karol Rosa, but all those little advantages should get her the win on the scorecards.
I also agree with you there. I've got Karol Rosa getting this one done. I think it's not controversial to say that Lina Lansberg's best win was the Macy Chesson one. But yeah, I was very high on Karol Rosa. A bit disappointed with her last performance out against Sarah McMahon. But Sarah McMahon in the past has been proven to be tough for some of these girls coming up in the bantamweight division. But yeah, I'm going to leave with Karol Rosa here. She's looked actually very technical in the time she's been in the fight in her fights. I think that's enough to beat Lina Lansberg. She was out a long time before her fight, which lost to Pani Kianzad. Not actually a bit of a performance there, especially considered Kianzad's skill. But yeah, I'm going to lean with Karol Rosa here, and the age definitely does side with her as well.
Yeah, they both kind of lost. They were on good win streaks in the UFC. Then they lose to that kind of Derek Brunson gatekeeper type of fighter in the women's bantamweight division in Sarah McMahon. But these two girls, I don't expect either of them to really become a champion in this bantamweight division. Obviously, Lina, she's like 40 and a half years old. And Karol, she really needs to work on her wrestling and getting controlled on the ground, because even an Amanda Nunes, or like you said, Sarah McMahon as well, are going to beat her on the ground. But Lina Lansberg doesn't really have that ability to control Karol Rosa on the ground. She's a better striker, so should be an obvious pick. But you know women's MMA is weird like that. Karol should go out there and outstrike Lina, but she's the elbow queen. That's her nickname. You never know. Maybe she cuts her open round one, gets a big eye cut open, and maybe she wins a doctor stoppage. That's women's MMA for you, so you never know. But I got Karol by a close decision. And we have what I'm very, very looking forward to this one in the middleweight division. AJ Dobson, Armen Petrosyan. A lot of people are not necessarily talking about this fight because there is so many big names and ranked fighters and future champions, title contender type of fights on this card. This one isn't really one of those. Both AJ Dobson and Armen Petrosyan are both coming off of losses inside the UFC, both by unanimous decision. But it does not take away from how good of a fight this is going to be. They might both be coming off of losses. They might both go out there getting out wrestled and grappled in their last fight. But I do think this is going to be a super exciting fight. So if you do not know who Armen Petrosyan or AJ Dobson is, watch AJ Dobson's regional fights. Watch his fight on the Contender Series. Watch Armen Petrosyan's fight with Gregory Rodriguez. I mean, he literally beat Gregory in the stand-up and was able to defend the takedowns. Super legit guys right here. I expect this one to be a contender for fight of the night if it does go to a decision, which I think it will. And Armen is going to be the slightly better kicker, body kicks, front kicks, and things like that. And he's just going to be, in my opinion, I wouldn't say like the more powerful guy, because I think that power is going to be pretty even in this one, but he's going to have the power in the kicks. Punching game is going to be even. It's just that kicking advantage for Armen really leads me to give him the win here, because I don't think AJ is going to go out there and wrestle Armen. I don't think Armen is going to go out there and wrestle AJ. Should be 3 very exciting rounds of striking, like Gregory Rodriguez, Armen Petrosyan, or yet again Armen will come out the very slight victor in a narrow 29-28 decision. What do you got on this one?
Once again, I will agree with you here and lean with the Armenian Armen Petrosyan here. The UFC also does have quite a lot of hope in AJ Dobson. They did a whole documentary about him and going through his Contender Series fights. So they do have hope in him there. a great performance on the Contender Series, didn't really live up to it in his fight against Jacob Malkoun. But Petrosyan, I would say, except from the fight with Caio, has been living up to the hype, especially in the Gregory Rodriguez fight. Who Rodriguez came into the UFC after getting his win on LFA. We didn't really know how good he was, but now we understand what kind of guy RoboCop, the Terminator, Gregory Rodriguez is, and getting a win over him in the fashion in a brawl essentially that Petrosyan did. We understand what kind of level that puts him on, and we also understand now what kind of level Caio was on. It really does put into perspective just how good this guy is, and I think that the level of AJ Dobson doesn't quite match up to the level of that of Petrosyan in the striking. I think the grappling could make it interesting as well, especially because Petrosyan has shown a good grappling past as well. So yeah, I'm going to leave Petrosyan by late finish or more likely a decision.
Yeah, there's a possibility for a late finish. That's only if Armen can kind of mix in some grappling and wrestling. I know he like moved over to like Russia or Europe or something in preparation for his Caio Borralho fight. That had to have given him some advantage over AJ Dobson here. But again, AJ does have, as we saw in round 1 with Jacob Malkoun, some pretty solid explosive takedown defense, kind of like a Joaquin Buckley, where it's not really like he's a really legit wrestler. It's just that explosiveness is able to keep him on the feet. So if Armen is able to kind of wear on him in the clinch situations, land some knees to the body, to the thigh in round 2, there's a very good chance we see a finish in round 3. But I think AJ will survive. I got Armen by a decision in one of the best fights of the card. Next one we got. It's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. I'm not too sure why they made this one between Gadzhi Omargadziev losing to Caio Borralho, another guy on this card, and that has fought a lot of guys on this card, taking on Abubakar Nurmagomedov, kind of the, like Make-A-Wish Foundation version of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Why does he have the name Nurmagomedov? Could have been any other name, because he does not, like Umar Nurmagomedov, Saeed Nurmagomedov, Usman Nurmagomedov in Bellator, Khabib, and then he got Abubakar, who's just like that Down syndrome friend of Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's just not really that good. I mean, he got submitted by David Zawada. Like, what are you doing? Khabib is in your corner. He's telling you, get on top, smash him, and you're like, oh, tap like chicken. Like, Abubakar, man, you gotta get your chromosomes in check in your brain, man. But enough of that. I'm sorry for anyone that's a huge Abubakar Nurmagomedov fan, but he's like an F compared to all the A's and B's of Umar and Khabib and things like that. But he's still okay. Did go out there, control Jared Gooden for 3 rounds a year and a half ago, which is another reason. What the heck is this fight going to be about? Because the man is not very active. It was a year and a half in the Jared Gooden fight. It was 2 years, 10 months in the David Zawada fight. 4 years in the Bojan Velikovic fight in the PFLs. The man's fought 3 times in 4 years, so I don't know what improvements the man has been making in the last few years, but he needs to have made a lot of improvements based off of his last or second to last fight with David Zawada. But taking on Gadzhi Omargadziev, younger, taller, not as lengthy, but I do believe wrestling and grappling wise is going to be a little bit even. And Gadzhi will just have the slightly better strike in here and the slightly better submission game to Abubakar. It's a weird one. 2 Russians with pretty decent records. But I do believe Gadzhi will have slight edge on the feet and win a 29-28. Controversial split decision. Khabib is going to be throwing stuff in the corner and he's going to be angry, but Gadzhi by decision.
Yeah, so we mentioned this before. It's quite weird matchmaking to put these guys against each other. And yeah, like we said, Abubakar is definitely the black sheep of the Nurmagomedov family. When they go to Dagestan, they get in the bath at each other. He definitely sits to the side holding the towels and bringing them meals and that. He definitely does all that work for the Nurmagomedovs. But yeah, don't get submitted by the kickboxer David Zawada if you want me to pick a big, strong grappler who was previously undefeated, only losing to previously mentioned Caio Borralho. I'm going to lean with Omargadziev here by decision, probably a quite strong decision as well. I think he'll be quite dominant in this fight unless Abubakar can pull something out. He beat Jared Gooden, which is okay. Jared Gooden, managed to break Randy Brown's toe with his face. That was very impressive that he was able to do that. But yeah, I'm going to lean with Gadzhi Omargadziev here. Maybe gets a submission late after tiring out Abubakar in the first 2 rounds though.
Yeah, I could definitely see a 3rd round submission for Gadzhi. Got a knee bar in the Contender Series, few ground-and-pound wins on the regional scene as well. But if he's able to catch Abubakar in a transition on the ground, that'd be the best way. You're not going to really get Abubakar's back and get a rear naked, but if you can get him while he's transitioning the half guard, while he's trying to get in the guard, right after he goes for a takedown on you, get a guillotine or a triangle from a freaking kickboxer in David Zawada, he could definitely get the finish here. But I'm leaning more towards the decision. I think in the last year and a half, he's got to make some improvements to the submission defense. So Gadzhi by decision. Weird matchmaking, but that's my prediction on that one. And we got pretty good matchmaking, I'd like to say here. Volkan Oezdemir and Nikita Krylov. I do actually like this fight. Both guys ended up fighting on, I believe, both of them were on the main card of UFC London. One of them might have been on the prelims. I could be mistaken. But Nikita going out there, knocking out Alexander Gustafsson in round number 1 twice. The man literally put him to sleep twice in round number 1, and he beat Johnny Walker, was able to control him on the ground, only losing to like those big guys in this light heavyweight division, like Glover Teixeira, former champion, not to mention by a split decision, which is very, very impressive considering guys like Jan Blachowicz are getting finished. Guys like Yuri Prohaska going all the way to 5 rounds, back and forth, and we just got freaking Nikita Krylov here, barely inside of that top 10, making it a super competitive fight. With Glover Teixeira showing you how good of his wrestling and grappling is, unless he gets caught. We saw the Paul Craig fight where he did get caught in a submission after almost TKO him with ground and pound, but Volkan Oezdemir, you guys all know, he's not going to go out there and submit Nikita Krylov in this fight, and Paul Craig was only able to get Volkan Oezdemir to the ground by kind of pulling guard, kind of just body locking and just jumping back from Volkan Oezdemir. Nikita's not going to do that. He is relentless, coming forward with the takedowns. He'll clinch, he'll body lock, he'll single leg. He'll just keep on going for takedown after takedown after takedown. And I do believe with his newfound striking, now we saw in the Alexander Gustafsson fight, he'll keep it very even on the feet, and he will be able to get the fight to the grounds on Volkan Oezdemir a few times here. I don't think he's going to dominate like a Khabib Nurmagomedov, but he will get like minutes of control time here and there, like 45 seconds, a minute, 30 seconds here. Volkan will get back up, but that control time, that little bit of ground and pound, that Nikita Krylov will inflict on Volkan Oezdemir, will add up on the scorecards, and keeping the striking as even as possible. I do believe we'll give Nikita the decision win, but it is a good one. If Volkan's able to catch him on the feet, there's a good chance that could happen, but I don't really remember the last time Nikita's been knocked out, so I'm not really worried about that. Nikita by unanimous decision.
Yeah, man, I've always been very high on Nikita Krylov, and I think that Glover Teixeira fight does speak volumes on the type of level he's on. A very close fight in terms of the grappling as well. The majority of that fight took place on the mat. You see him there. He's very, very quick for a light heavy, which does not get pointed out enough. Kicks very quick. He can keep long range. He's got a very long leg reach as well, which is something a lot of people talk about with him. But yeah, I think if Paul Craig is wading forward and tagging you with straight shots on the feet, I think that a very quick guy. I know, obviously, one loss to Paul Craig. Listen, you're beating up Paul Craig so much. It happens to the best of us. It's happened to me before. I can just say it. But yeah, Nikita Krylov, I think he'll get this done by head kick. Maybe not a clean head kick knockout. He lands and he drops him and then he falls up. But I can definitely see Krylov finishing him here. I think Oezdemir is slowing down. He's not too old, but he just is slowing down physically. I don't think he's in his physical prime anymore. I think he kind of wore that out a couple of years ago. But Krylov, he's not as old as you think from his record. I think he's 29, Krylov. So yeah, and he's just coming at his physical prime. I think this is prime matchmaking. They both want this fight. Krylov called them out. You're correct. They were both on the UFC London main card. They called them out there and they've got the fight. And I think there's a reason that Krylov wanted this fight. I think because he understands that it's a good matchup for him. And yeah, they create Krylov by head kick knockout is what I'm going to go for here.
Ooh, head kick knockout. What round did you say? Round 1, round 2?
Round 2, I'll say round 2.
Round 2 KO for Nikita Krylov. I can definitely see it. Volkan Oezdemir, again, I didn't really talk about it when I was saying it, but he was out striking Paul Craig, but Paul Craig was still laying in some shots down the middle. If he's laying in those shots, imagine what Nikita can do laying in those same shots down the middle on Volkan, getting his hands like this, boom, head kick across the side of the head. I can definitely see that head kick KO happening. I'm leaning more towards the decision, but you're right. That head kick is a good path to victory for Nikita. Should be a good one. And like you said, 30 years old, 29 years old for Nikita Krylov. This dude has a lot of improvement to do, even already having a total of 37 mixed martial arts fights. Some of them on the regional scene, not against the best guys, but this is a good matchup. Nikita by decision. You got Nikita by second round head kick KO. Next one, flyweights. Malcolm Gordon, the greatest Canadian flyweight of all time. He's probably the only Canadian flyweight of all time, but we'll move past that. Mohamed Mokaev. This one's legit. Probably the greatest Great Britain, UK grappler, wrestler, striker, MMA fighter of all time. This dude is legit. He's not actually like a UK type of guy. He is a Russian that I believe was born in UK, if I'm getting that correct, bro. Jamal. Was that correct?
I think he was born in Russia and moved to the
Born in
UK when
Russia?
he was very young. I think he moved to the UK when he was like 3 or something. So it's pretty much there. It's close enough.
Yeah, so he's like a Russian mixed with UK. He looks like a Russian, obviously, but he talks with a UK accent. Undefeated 7-0, but that does not tell the full story. Anyone looking at Muhammad Mokayev's topology and only are looking at those pro MMA fights, scroll down a little bit, man. You have 23 wins as an amateur at 22 years old. That is absolutely nuts for Muhammad Mokaev. I believe the man started fighting his first ever amateur MMA fight when he was like 16 or 17 years old. Is absolutely insane. 15 years old. I'm even wrong about that. 15 years old was his first ever amateur MMA fight. I'm 16. The man fought a year before what I am right now, and he's pretty good as a striker on the feet. Likes to move around, kind of like moving around like Michel Pereira, but without the backflips and stupid stuff like that. But he does have some good explosive power in his knees, in his kicks, in his punches. That's not what we're going to be talking about here, because obviously Mokaev could catch Malcolm Gordon like Suma Derji was able to do. Even like freaking Francisco Figueiredo, Dennis Bonner, they were able to like tag him a little bit on the feet. Malcolm doesn't necessarily have the best chin that I've ever seen out of a flyweight. I mean, it's 125 pounds. There should not be that many knockout losses on your record. So Muhammad Mokaev wants to show the striking to the UFC 280 crowd, to everyone in Abu Dhabi, and show that he's not only a guy that's going to go out and Aljamain Sterling you like he did with Charles Johnson and control you, but that he can also go out there and mix in the strike and mix in his power, his kicks, his knees, his punches. I think that's what he's going to be able to do. Originally, I did have Mokaev going out there, getting the back of Malcolm Gordon, sinking in that rear naked choke submission right there. But I'm going to actually lean that Muhammad Mokaev is going to want to get a good finish to kind of propel him inside of that top 15. If there's just so many submissions in your UFC career, all the casual fans aren't going to get hyped on you. If you get a flying knee knockout like he was almost able to do on Cody Durden, that's really going to build the hype. So I think he's going to either land something big with the knees and the kicks on Malcolm Gordon, land some big ground and pound, and get a finish in round number 1, round number 2, or probably do what he did in the Cody Durden fight, catch him with something on the feet, hop a guillotine, hop the back, and get the rear naked. But either way, first or second round finish from Muhammad Mokaev, the biggest prospect in the flyweight division.
Just like we mentioned, Mokaev, I think was born in Russia. I'm going to get crucified if I get that wrong, but I think he was born in Russia. So we'll have the Abu Dhabi crowd probably on his side here. Listen, if you're looking for prospects in Europe, like you said, the amateur experience, start paying attention to these guys that come from IMAF. IMAF is a series of tournaments held for the amateur guys, held over multiple days. You're seeing guys like Mokaev, guys like Christian Leroy Duncan come through who've got so much experience, which you don't see a lot in MMA. Typically, boxers have like 40 boxing fights before they turn pro. That needs to become something I think implementing more in MMA to get these guys to this level early on in their career before they even turn 25. But yeah, this is what we're seeing with Muhammad Mokaev here. It's a bit of a weird bit of matchmaking. I know Gordon is on a win streak, but then one of them was the kind of weird injury against Dennis Bonder. I can expect Muhammad Mokaev to get this one done. If you get a finish, I'm going to more trust him to get just a dominant like 30-26 decision here. Just completely dominating Malcolm Gordon here, like you said. He's showing weaknesses on the ground. He's showing a weakness in the field. I don't think he's got the best chin either. Be fair, like if you're a flyweight, don't be taking punches that poorly like he did. And I know he lost to Sumadar, just not a bad loss, but still, I think the chin's to be something to take into account of for Malcolm Gordon. So I'm going to lean with Muhammad Mokaev here by submission, or what I'm going to more probably say is a dominant 30-26, maybe even 30-25 decision.
Yeah, I can definitely see that if he's literally just able to survive in this fight, which I think that's what he's going to try to do. It's one of those where you see like a Hamza Chimaev on your first or second fight in the UFC or something. You see like a Bo Nickel. Your objective usually, if you're getting dominated in these type of fights, you're trying to respect yourself. You're trying to show them, I didn't get finished by Muhammad Mokaev. You want to just survive. You're not really trying to win. Charles Johnson, there was moments where Muhammad was on his back that he was just kind of holding there, even around number 3, just trying to not get finished. There's a good chance Malcolm could do that after round 1, round 2. He's just going to be like, dude, I'm not going to win this fight. Might as well just try to defend this submission, not get hit by these big shots, and not take any risks. It kind of depends on, will Malcolm Gordon make those risks that are going to cause him to probably get finished in this fight, or is he going to play more conservatively and not try to get finished, try to preserve his name, his reputation? it really comes down to what Malcolm Gordon does in this one. But I'm going to go Muhammad round 2. TKO, you got him by a 30-26 or 30-25 decision. Can definitely see that happening, but it is a good one in the flyweight division. Two guys that the winner is probably going to get a top 15 fight next. After that one, we had the third last fight of the prelims, which is insane that we've already mentioned so many good names on the prelims, and we already have. The third to last fight of the prelims is Caio Borralho, another guy like Mohamed Mokev I can see challenging for the UFC middleweight belt very, very soon, or at least being in that top 5, top 8 contention in the middleweight division, taking on Makhmud Muradov. Caio Borralho is in the prime of his career, almost turning 30 years old in a few months' time. The dude is not that tall. He's not really that lengthy. But don't mistake him for having the glasses, looking like a Charles Oliveira that kind of does math assignments right before grappling and wrestling. He is a very good striker as well. A lot of people don't like to talk about it because he's kind of fighting guys like Gadzhi, Omargadziev, Armen, Petrosyan, and things like that. And he's able to go out there, easily get their back, control them on the ground, get the takedowns, the blast double, and things like that. But that's not what I want to talk about here. The dude's striking is very, very legit. I think if he decides to go out there and test himself with Makhmud Muradov, he has a legitimate chance to win a unanimous decision, just outstriking Makhmud for 3 rounds. That's all he needs to do is stay away from the big flying knees, big right hooks, left hooks, uppercuts, overhands, those big whooping shots of Makhmud Muradov. That's all he really needs to stay away from, because the body kicks of Caio, the speed in his hands of Caio Borralho, I like to say, are very, very high level in this middleweight division. So whether it's a 3-round striking fight or a 3-round grappling fight, I do believe grappling-wise he will be able to get the submission in round 2 or round number 3, which I think he's going to be striking a little bit. And then at the end of the round, when Makhmud's coming with those big shots, duck under with the blast double and get the back, maybe submit him in the later rounds. But again, if he wants to, can easily go out there and outstrike Makhmud on the feet. It's just the power of Makhmud. I think the dude has like 20 finishes as a professional MMA fighter. I literally got it exactly right. And 5 decision wins. So got to be worried about that. But anytime he's going to get hurt or anytime he's going to start throwing big shots, he has that opportunity for the takedown. So I'm going to go Caio. End of round 2, beginning of round 3 submission.
So once again, I'm going to agree with you here. I'm going to go with Caio Borralho here. Like you said, he's got a very unique look. He's got the glasses, he's got the free spirit under his neck, he's got the fight or die tattoo as well. But yeah, if Jailton Mearshot is clipping you and catching you in the feet, I think Caio Borralho, like you said, a very underrated striking game. Makhmud Muradov was a very highly rated prospect once upon a time, if you can believe that. Maybe, like I said, we should have seen this coming all along. Maybe like the close decision he had with Alessio Di Chirico. It was in a bit of a back and forth fight, just not really much happening with Andrew Sanchez and stuff like that. Knocked out Trevor Smith. Some people watching this probably don't even know who Trevor Smith is, let's be honest. But yeah, and he's had time off since the Mearshot fight as well. I really do see Caio Borralho getting this one done here. Of course, Muradov does have a bit of an awkward striking technique as well. He's got good power. So it could make the upset happen. And we want to talk about underrated wins. That win that Caio Borralho had against Aaron Jeffrey has aged very well. Jeffrey is one of the more underrated guys outside the UFC, in my opinion. And the way he beat him was very impressive. So I'm going to lean with Caio Borralho here. Like you said, future champions, I could see that. I could see at least being the top 5, top 3 at minimum there. But yeah, I think we've got a very, very bright future here with this guy, with his grappling, and as you mentioned, an underrated striking game. Caio Borralho get this one done by, I'll say submission. I'll say late first round submission here after clipping Muradov in the feet. Muradov's just not being used to being in the cage. Big show. Borralho's been very active and he clips him and chokes him out.
Last thing for this fight is, if you do not know, now you will know. Caio Borralho is one of the main training partners of, you might know him, Khamzat Chimaev, a UFC welterweight, middleweight. I don't know what division the man's going to fight in. But if Caio is already this good of a grappler, already this good again in the backpack, his striking is already that good. Imagine how good his wrestling is going to continue to improve and improve and improve. And the ground and pound is going to improve and improve and improve. Because that's the main thing that I kind of lower the stock of Caio Borralho is literally just the ground and pound. Goes for a little bit of ground and pound here and there, but that's kind of the main weakness I have for Caio, is he's not getting as many submission wins inside the UFC as I would like, because he's not able to open him up with the ground and pound and get the submission. But again, Khamzat Chimaev will open that up for Makhmud Muradov. After he hurts him on the feet, he's going to use that Khamzat Chimaev training to help him ground and pound and latch in that submission. Round 2, in my opinion, but Should be a good one. Future title challenger, at least top 5, versus Muradov, who was a good prospect. Not going to be after this fight at all. Getting finished twice in a row, in my opinion. Next fight, one of the best fights on the prelims. Zubaira Tukhugov, 25 fights, 26 fights as a professional MMA fighter. One of those guys that's right outside of the top 15 of the featherweight division, only losing to Hakeem Dawodu by split decision, to Renato Moicano by split decision, beating having a draw with Lerone Murphy by split decision, having a win over Felipe Nova by a split decision. I don't know how many fights this man has that are split decisions, but I'm going to make that my prediction in this one. I'm going to go that Zubaira Tukhugov is going to win yet another split decision here. I do believe him being the slightly more technical striker, going to be throwing a little bit more volume than Lucas Almeida, and having the ability and possibility of going out there, mixing in some takedowns and a little bit of wrestling on Lucas Almeida will get him to win at least 2 rounds out of 3. But there is that possibility some judges might give the fight to Lucas because the dude is super, super powerful. We saw the fight with Mike Trezano, which was a back and forth war. There was moments in that fight. Lucas was like a 6-1 underdog on the live odds. Then it flipped immediately after he started to turn into Charles Oliveira do Bronx. The champion has a name, and he just went absolutely crazy on those later rounds in that fight. Could be the case here. I think Zubaira wins round 1. I think Lucas Almeida wins round 3, and I think the judges are going to have it cut out for them in round 2 because that's where Lucas is going to start to land some of those big shots on Zubaira, but Zubaira is going to land a lot of volume as well and maybe get some control time on the ground. So is really what in the world are the judges going to think for this fight? Do they value a few more strikes from Zubaira? Do they value one shot on Zubaira from Lucas, landing a big right hand that kind of knocks back Zubaira a little bit? It's going to be a weird one. I would say don't really put a lot of money on either guy here because it is kind of come down to the judges' thoughts on the power versus the volume of both guys. But I do believe even if the power and volume is going to be competing with each other, there is still that X factor of wrestling that Zubaira Tukhugov can mix in. He's not the most credentialed wrestler out there. Given the name Zubaira Tukhugov, you expect him to go out there and dominate Lucas, but he's not really that good of a wrestler. Still think it'll be good enough to control a little bit. I got Zubaira in a very, very tight, narrow 29-28 split decision, winning round 1, losing round 3. Judges will be split in round 2.
Finally, there's a fight that we can disagree on here. I'm going to lean with Lucas Almeida here. I'm going to base this mainly off the Hakeem Dawodu fight, and when you think that, I think there's a pretty similar striking style if you watch Dawodu and you watch Lucas Almeida, and then you also consider that Almeida's a lot bigger, a lot rangier. The loss to Daniel Zellhuber is a bit odd looking back. If we said this a couple of weeks ago, but that'd be completely fine. But now, after seeing Zellhuber kind of flop his UFC debut and a bit of a gimme fight, if we're being honest here, against Jailton, we're thinking, how's that going to go? But maybe that's just a fluke there. You never know like that. But then I picked him to lose the Mike Rosano fight. He was losing and he came back and he was losing. It was just a crazy fight back and forth, and then eventually got the win on Trezano, who's a tough guy, not known for getting dropped and anything like that. So that's definitely impressive for Almeida. And yeah, Tukhugov, I picked him in quite a lot of these fights, and this might be the first time in recent memory I'm picking against Zubaira Tukhugov. But I'm going to lean him here. I was very impressed, and Lucas Almeida proved me wrong in that fight against Mike Trezano here. So I'm going to lean with him by a close decision. I think I'll say split decision as well, actually, because I can see this being very close. Tukhugov's good at finding range, obviously. And yeah, he got a good win last time out against Ricardo Lamos. It's a tough one. I know why it's been placed this high up the card as well. But I'm going to lean with Lucas Almeida by decision. A very good fight, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Like we're both going split decision on this one. It could be a KO from Lucas Almeida. I do believe if you're going to be betting on the fight, don't bet money line on either side. There's probably a little bit of value on Lucas Almeida for that good plus money. But if you're going to bet, I would say the best thing to do is a Lucas Almeida inside the distance decision no action bet, because I highly doubt Zubaira's going out there and getting a finish in this one. I don't really even remember the last time he got a finish over a guy that's actually UFC caliber. The only guys he's finishing are both outside of the UFC, where Lucas Almeida just went out there and destroyed Mike Trezano round number 3. So that's the only bet to make on this one, as it is such a close one on going to a decision. And if the fight is going to go to a decision, who's going to win? So close one in the featherweight division. I got Zubaira, you got Lucas in a very close fight. Last fight of the prelims, we got Belal. Remember the decision. Mohamed taking on Sean Brady in the welterweight division. I'm going to say it right now. if you're betting on this fight, aside from the fluke, I don't know, shin break or shoulder injury, or I don't know, their neck gets tweaked, put fight goes to a decision in all the parlays. I mean, come on. If Belal's not getting finished by Vicente Luque, by Stephen Thompson, or even getting submitted by Damian Maia, you think Sean Brady's going to go out there and knock him out? No, I don't think so. And do you think Sean Brady is going to get his first finish loss and his first ever loss by finish to Belal? Remember the decision, Muhammad? There's no freaking chance, guys. Bet this fight goes to a decision. Put it in the parlays, but for the prediction now, originally I was going to go Sean Brady on this one. I thought round 1 and round 2 would go to Sean Brady to defend the takedowns and land a little bit of harder shots on the feet. But I got to be honest. I got to be dead honest with you. The man, the myth, the legend, the decision nation ratio. I don't know what I'm saying now. Belal Muhammad has been training with Khabib Nurmagomedov, that whole AKA camp. Belal has been training with them nonstop, up and coming to this fight at UFC 280. So I believe Belal is going to have, first off, the cardio advantage. Going to have a little bit of that control time advantage and things like that. Sean might have a little bit of a striking advantage, but I think Belal training with Khabib is going to make it a lot easier for Belal to kind of level change, get in on the double, get in on the single, grind for the body lock takedown, whatever he's going to try going out there and doing on Sean Brady. I don't think he's going to be dominant. I don't think Belal is going to go out there and ragdoll Sean Brady like Khabib does, but I do think he'll land some takedowns here, keep the striking even in round 2 and round number 3. Lose round 1, as round 1 is going to be a feeling out process, trying to find that range on the takedown. Sean's going to outstrike him by a little bit. He'll win that one, but round 2, round 3 to Belal in what is going to be a very, very close fight. I do believe this one in the welterweight division is one where flip a coin, man. It's going to come down to, will Sean Brady not gas out, and will he be able to defend the takedowns? Because if he can, I think he should win this one, and I think the UFC would want him to win at 29 years old, undefeated. They just want to keep pushing these undefeated prospects. But I think Sean, we saw some weaknesses in the Michael Chiesa fight in the later rounds. Didn't look too good. I mean, I think if this was a 5-round fight, dude, I'm putting a lot of money on Belal Muhammad because it is a 3-rounder. Dude, my prediction has gone from maybe like 70% confident on Belal to literally 51% confident. The narrowest of margins. I'm going to have to go Belal. It's a very close one, 29-28 for, remember, the decision.
I'm going to slightly lean with Sean Brady here. I think I'm basing this off, I think we've seen the best way to deal with Belal and the best way to beat him is to pressure him and try to take him down. If you remember the Damian Maia fight, Damian tried to get single legs on him, and it really did slow down Belal's offense and the grappling and the striking. If there's one thing Sean Brady can do, it's hold you against the cage. And let's be honest, he's got the best build for that. He's a very physically strong guy. If I agree with you, if it was a 5-round, I'd be picking Belal. I probably would be, even maybe by TKO, maybe Belal Muhammad gets a finish by knockout. Somehow it happens. But yeah, that would be a likely outcome there. But yeah, this one, a 3-rounder, just about, honestly, same as you, 51% at 49. You know, it's just dead even to pick this fight. Both guys very similar, and everything as well. The striking, I guess you can maybe give a bit of a technical edge to Belal, power advantage to Sean Brady. We've seen that in the Jake Matthews fight, clipping a couple of times there. I'm going to lean with Sean Brady. They'll get a close decision, 29-28, losing the third round. I think we can all agree that Sean Brady's probably going to gas out and slow down the third round quicker than Belal does. And Khabib, another time tonight, throwing stuff in the cage, he's done. He's left the building. Islam's on his own, and that will lead into my prediction for later in the card. But I'm going to go with Sean Brady by split decision.
Yeah, very, very close fight right there, Webby. That was, 2 split decisions in a row for Jamal right there. We got a Lucas Almeida underdog pick by decision, and Sean Brady by decision as well. Those are the prelim picks so far. I got Magomed Mustafaev, Karol Rosa, Armen Petrosyan, Gadzhi Omargadziev, Nikita Krylov, Mokev, Caio Borralho, Zubaira, Tukhugov, and underdog Belal Muhammad. Only differences from Jamal so far is going to be he is picking Sean Brady and Lucas Almeida. I believe we agree with everything else. But before we get into the main card, I'm looking at a few of these comments that are in the chat right now. We got a lot of spammers here, right here. We got a lot of damn comments. Jesus. But right here, let's see. Muradov Moneyline says, goofball. Well, you are a goofball if you're going to be betting Muradov Moneyline, because that dude's going to get absolutely destroyed in that one. Petrosyan Moneyline, it could be okay. I'd rather a decision or 3rd round knockout prop. I think that one definitely has some value because AJ slows down a little bit in those later rounds. If you're going to bet Petrosyan and AJ Dobson, bet a third round KO double chance to a decision. So even if he gets the finish, you still win your money on that one. What is up, Andy Mush Pictures? Oh my gosh, what is he saying? Where their ass? What is he saying? Oh my gosh. No way this kid's name is Jamal. What is it? Because he's not black. Y'all race.
What you try to say? What you try?
I don't know. That's what they're saying. He's Scottish. He's Scottish, lad. Jamal Hill. No,
That's
it's not Jamal Hill.
That's a good Scottish accent, actually.
That is true. Dev the dude, Jamal is Arabic. He's a king. I don't think you're Arabic.
Do you know what? I might be actually based on, you know what I mean? Belal had a bit of a similar nose actually. Maybe it's something genetics there, but actually might be part Arabic if I do a little DNA test. Who knows where my roots lie? But yeah, I may be honestly.
Interesting. Oezdemir better striker? I would say so, maybe. But even in that fight, if Nikita Krylov goes out there and is able to rock him on the feet, it's not that Volkan Oezdemir necessarily is going to be that much of a better striker. It's that Nikita's wrestling and grappling, feints and takedowns and things like that are going to take away from Volkan's strike. And it's kind of going to be like one of those where it's a wrestler versus pure striker. And that striker's striking goes down so much because they're worried about the takedown. That's kind of what I feel about Volkan and Nikita, is Nikita could actually outstrike Volkan because of the takedowns and because of the wrestling. Let's see, Islam by submission, Aljo by decision, Jan by decision, Belal by decision, and Gamrot by decision. Lots of decisions there. I do agree with a few of those, though. Bert, do you train? I do boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. No kickboxing as of right now because we're in North Carolina. There's really no kickboxing unless you want to go in there with a bunch of 40-year-old moms and kickbox, which I do not want to do. I don't want to hurt those old ladies, all right? Let's see. What's up, guys? I just joined. Not sure if you've talked about Sean and Jan yet. Nope, we're going to be talking about it later on in the live stream. Below, remember all of my decisions. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There is a lot of them. Dude, can you slow down, Jesus? No, we gotta make this a short video. We gotta speed it up. We gotta speed it up. You know what I'm saying? We gotta do it like that. Faster. Wow, Jamal, we love you, Jamal. Wow, woo, sick soul with a monkey emoji. Okay, I think he's referring to the Jamal name, but that's a little weird. All right, well, we're gonna go on to the main card now. Thank you guys.
Wait. Before we move on to the main card, I won a round of applause for me and Bert in the chat. I want everyone in the chat a round of applause. We should explain this. Me and Bert recorded this entire thing yesterday. Something went wrong, I think got uploaded. We went on for like half an hour, the full thing, and it was great chemistry. We both showed up like matching shots. We didn't plan that. We were bouncing off each other. It was a great first meeting, and then the video just didn't get uploaded somehow. Something went wrong with StreamYard. So yeah, a round of applause for me and Bert picking ourselves back up to do this again, because lesser men would have quit, but no, me and Bert, the young guns of the YouTube scene, the under-20s of the YouTube scene, were doing it. Thank you very much, Ely. I see you. I love you too, brother. I can't understand anything you're saying. That just shows how much you guys love me. If you can't understand what I'm saying and you still love me, it just shows it's a connection. But yeah, a round of applause for me and Bert. It's absolutely glorious that we're still here doing this today.
Yeah, this is our second attempt right now. We were live yesterday, but we weren't actually live yesterday. We did this whole full card prediction with nobody watching. We didn't even record it on accident. Probably my fault, but gosh dang, StreamYard, or maybe me. I don't know whose fault it was, but yeah, so that's a little tough there. So like the video if you like the fact that we're recording twice. We're recording 2 days in a row. You might not see the first one, but we're going to redo it anyway. But yeah, put your predictions down below in that live chat, and we'll look at it after the main card is over. Katlyn Chookagian, a man on Fiorot in the flyweight division. Next winner, I mean, if Katlyn Chookagian wins this fight, gotta give her a title. So you have to, right? I mean, she beat Cynthia Calvillo, Viviane Araújo, Jennifer Maia, and Amanda Ribas, all by decision. She's the Belal Muhammad of the women's flyweight division. And then she lost to Jessica Andrade 2 years ago. This will be a 5-fight win streak for the Robert Whittaker Belal Muhammad mix in this flyweight division, and she gets a lot of decisions, and she's been that #1 contender for so gosh dang long. But not for long as we're recording this video, as in 1 week, maybe a week and a half, I do believe Manon Fiorot will now be the #1 contender of the flyweight division. She's younger than Katlyn Chookagian, not as tall, not as lengthy, but she's a heck of a lot more powerful and a lot stronger than Katlyn Chookagian. Gonna have a little bit of a wrestling and grappling advantage, not because she's some technical wizard on the ground, not because she's some Dagestani wrestler, but just because, gosh, how gosh dang strong Manon Fiorot is. If she's able to go out there and mix in some takedowns, there's not going to be much technique behind it, but she's going to power through those takedowns and get some control time there. But Katlyn is a queen of winning decisions. She's getting finished a lot in a lot of her losses, but she's never had a finish inside of her UFC career as a win, and I don't think she's going to get one here. Manon is going to land the harder shots in the feet, mix in some clinches, break the clinch, and just start freaking throwing hooks on the Katlyn Chookagian. I don't expect a finish from Manon Fiorot here, but if she does, that is going to clearly give Manon Fiorot a title shot. You know what? I'm going to change it. It's first fight of the pay-per-view. If they're going to put a women's MMA fight as the first fight of the pay-per-view to get people hyped up for the rest of the pay-per-view, they got to know something that we don't, and that is going to be either an exciting decision or a possible finish to start off the pay-per-view. So I'm going to actually go Manon Fiorot to get a TKO in round number 2, just overwhelming Katlyn with big hooks and punches on the feet. Manon going to 10-1 and getting a title shot with Valentina Shevchenko. Second round TKO.
I'm also going to go with Manon Fiorot by TKO here. The last time we broke this down, I did mention that Katlyn Chookagian has been ranked #1 for what feels like years at this point. I didn't even think about that. If Fiorot wins, she's got to move up to that one spot. A very quick progression for her going from the Jennifer Maia fight to this. But yeah, I think that, it's not really often to see knockouts at this level at women's MMA. And Chookagian doesn't really get knocked out. The only time we've seen her finish really was in the Shevchenko fight with the crucifix and that. And then the body shot. Maybe that's what we can see here. That's what I'm going to lean with. I think that Fiorot's going on a body kick and just shut down Katlyn Chookagian. I think that's what we could see here. And yeah, Chookagian, she's been ranked 1 for so long, and she's got a good win streak right now. You can trust her to go in there and not have an entertaining fight, but to perform. If you like women's MMA, you're probably a Katlyn Chookagian fan somehow. Someone in the chat pointing this out, I want to bring this up as well. We're very lucky that Fiorot didn't end up fighting Andrade, because I think she would have lost that fight. In Paris as well, that could have been a rough one. But yeah, I agree. This is a better matchup, infinitely, for Manon Fiorot. I think she's got the win here. And a bit of a star-making performance here, because on the main card of one of the biggest pay-per-views in recent memory. So yeah, Fiorot, body kick, TKO.
Yeah, I'm going to be dead honest with you. If it was Manon Fiorot, Jessica Andrade, I'm going to be dead honest. Jessica by KO, Jessica by decision. One of those two things would have happened there, because yes, Manon is good. She's got good wrestling, good grappling. But Jessica Andrade is another world power in this women's flyweight division. She was able to knock out Katlyn Chookagian. Is why I don't know why she's #4 in the flyweight division, but I would have gone Jessica Andrade to get that win. Glad she's not getting that one. It's a much more favorable matchup, and the UFC knows it. That's why they switched it out. And I mean, what was it scheduled for Katlyn Chookagian first? Switch to Jessica Andrade, then move to a different card. I mean, this matchup has been made a few times in the past. Glad we're seeing it on the main card of a pay-per-view. Should be a good one. Manon by second round TKO. Mateusz Gamrot taking on Beneil Dariush. Both guys with similar records right here, both with 21 wins. Gamrot being a little bit younger, almost 32 years old, pretty much in the prime of his MMA career, whereas Beneil Dariush, while it might not look like it, kind of like a Gregory Rodriguez situation where you kind of look at Beneil and you look at Gregory and you're like, dude, is that guy 45 years old? How in the world is he still fighting in the gosh dang UFC? The dude is 33 and a half years old. Mind blown. When I first saw that like a few months ago, and I legitimately looked at the age of Beneil Dariush, I was incredibly surprised, because looking at him when he fights, looking at the technique that he throws to the strikes, looks like a freaking Alexei Olenek going out there with those very weird punches and things like that. Not much technique behind it, but Beneil does have some good technique, but it should be a good one. Striking is going to be very even. Mateusz is very good on the feet. Going to have the speed advantage over Beneil Dariush. Might land a bit more volume than Beneil Dariush, in my opinion. But Beneil, a lot of people like to say that he's going to go out there, grind with the wrestling and grappling, because they're kind of the casual fans that have only watched the Tony Ferguson fight where he did what he was supposed to and just grinded on the ground. That's not what's going to happen here. We're going to see most likely some scrambling and wrestling situations, but mainly a striking fight for 3 straight rounds. But Beneil has a very live chance of winning, given the power of Beneil Dariush knocking out Scott Holston with a damn spinning back fist to the face, an overhand left on Drakkar Klose, one of the biggest comebacks in UFC history. I can see Beneil Dariush kind of doing what Arman Tsarukyan was almost able to do, and kind of have this striking be very, very even, have those little scramble situations, and just land the slightly bigger strikes than Mateusz Gamrot. That's what I'm going to keep saying that. Arman Tsarukyan was able to do. He still didn't get the win, probably should have. But there was those moments where he landed the spinning back fist, a thing that Beneil Dariush has done very well in the past. Those moments are going to be Beneil Dariush's way to win here. I'm not going to sit down here and say Beneil is going to technically outstrike Gamrot for 3 rounds. He's not going to outgrind him on the ground for 3 straight rounds. It's going to have to be that Gamrot's going to have a slight edge for like 3 or 4 minutes of every round, and Beneil just needs to do something that the judges will remember. Get a takedown, get the back of Gamrot, get a big left overhand, get a spinning back fist, something big to really distinguish what he's doing versus the little tip-taps of Gamrot. So one of my closest fights of the card, there were moments researching this fight that I was like, dude, I might go Beneil Dariush, but I'm going to go the safe route and go Mateusz Gamrot, 29-28 decision. Do not be surprised if Beneil goes out there and it's a very close split decision and he just lands one big shot and wins the fight off of one big shot. Close one, I'm leaning the younger, faster Mateusz Gamrot.
So yeah, I remember you compared this fight to Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose, and that's a very good way of looking at this. I think you could say that Gamrot's got the more technical striking, Dariush has got the more power. I'm really worried that Dariush just knocks him out somehow, because I think we're all in agreement when we say we want Gamrot to go forward from this fight. We want Gamrot to win, whether you know what your pick is. We want Gamrot to be the guy coming out with a win this fight. And it's risky because he's striking is risky. He throws hooks sometimes. Dariush's got a lot of power. He's got awkward strikes, uppercuts, like you said, spinning back forearms that hit Scott Holtzman with. And he's also got awkward grappling as well, where he could catch Gamrot, because Gamrot does like to scramble, likes to get out of submission before really putting himself in them. And that's a risky spot to be in with Beneil Dariush. We've seen that in the Drew Dober fight. You can get caught up in just weird submissions by Dariush. I'm going to lean with Gamrot by TKO in the second round. Just a cumulative damage, just body shots, ripping him, and eventually, a bit like Jeff Neal Vicente Luque, eventually just goes down and crumbles. We have seen guys like Alexander Hernandez chin Beneil Dariush before. So if Hernandez can do it, I think that Gamrot can find the more technical shot, place it out in the chin, and put in Beneil Dariush. And yeah, Gamrot moves forward, not as younger as Dariush as you think it would be in this situation, especially looking at their UFC careers in general. But yeah, Gamrot comes out this one with a win, hopefully, but very risky, very close fight.
Yeah, it's one of those where if you're that 50-50 on the fight, which I am, Jamal's not. He's pretty good about Mateusz Gamrot winning this fight. But if you are very 50-50, you got to think about what the UFC wants. If Beneil Dariush wins this fight, he is going to go on that mic and call for the title fight, call for the winner of Oliveira Makhachev. The UFC doesn't really want that. They want maybe Dustin Poirier, maybe Michael Chandler to fight Islam Makhachev, or to rematch Charles Oliveira, or maybe Oliveira wins that one, and they could pull up Alexander Volkanovski for UFC 284 in Perth, Australia. You never know with what the UFC is thinking, but in this fight, you kind of do. The UFC does not want Beneil Dariush to win. It's going to ruin a lot of things if he starts going out there demanding a title fight, because the UFC is a money-making business. They're focused on the most exciting fights, the fights the fans are going to pay the pay-per-view money to buy, and that's why they're putting him against Gamrot. They know Gamrot is probably the best chance to beat Beneil Dariush right here, other than putting Beneil against like a Justin Gaethje or something like that. So should be good. The UFC wants Gamrot to win. I want Gamrot to win because I would love to see Alexander Volkanovski move up to the lightweight division. The only way that's going to happen is, first off, if Gamrot wins this fight, but it should be a good one. You got Gamrot TKO second round. I got Gamrot by a decision. Next one, we got the bantamweights. The 2 bantamweight fights on this card are absolutely amazing. First of which, Petr Yan and Sugar Sean O'Malley, a 27-year-old and a 29-year-old. Both guys still have a lot of improvement to do, which is why there can be Petr Yan going out there with a wrestling game plan in this fight on Sean O'Malley. You never know. Even if Yan was getting the back taken on Aljamain Sterling, even if he ended up losing that illegal knee to Aljamain Sterling in the past, Petr Yan could have been out there training in Russia for a wrestling and grappling fight. We're all talking about Petr Yan going out there, gathering the data round 1, winning round number 2, and winning round number 3. But I'm going to be dead honest with you. There is a good chance Petr Yan could go out there and just start taking down Sean O'Malley. He's a lot smaller. He's a lot more compact, more of the wrestling size in this bantamweight division. If Sean O'Malley wants to win this fight, try to work on the gas tank of Sean O'Malley. Try to work on the cardio of Sean O'Malley. Get the fight to the clinch. Knees, not the knees to a grounded opponent, but knees to the body on Sean O'Malley. He can definitely do so. I don't think that's going to be the main game plan. The main game plan is to win round 2, round 3 after figuring out the range on O'Malley. But that little X factor for Petr Yan here, given that I do believe he could mix in some takedowns and some clinch situations as well, break the clinch and land some shots on the inside, leads me to believe Yan will win round 2 and round 3, and that's pretty much everyone's prediction. I mean, it's not a special prediction or anything like that. Most people are saying O'Malley round 1, gonna stand the outside, jab, 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 like jab, 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 body kick over and over and over. But once Petr finds that range, once he's able to get in the inside, should win those later rounds. So I know that's not what you want to hear, and that's what everyone is saying, but I got Yan by decision.
Yeah, so the MMA guru went on Sean O'Malley's podcast and told him to his face that he thought he was going to lose. I hate to break it, guys. I'm going to go with the obvious pick, and that is Sean O'Malley by first round rolling thunder kick off the cage. It's the obvious pick to go with here. I think he gets it done against... I'm kidding. I'm going to lean with No Mercy, the Siberian murderer, Petr Yan to get a win here. I think what I'm going to go with is probably 29-27 decision. Maybe lose the first round, comes back in the second, then gets a 10-8 in the third round. I mean, same thing with the Belal and Sean Brady fight. I feel like we're all leaning with Yan coming in later on and either finishing him late or getting a very dominant performance in the third round here. I just think it's too much for Sean O'Malley, man, because I've seen him have good performances and against good guys as well. You know, Paiva is not the best in the world, but to do it against Paiva was impressive, I have to admit that. Was doing good against Pedro Munoz. People are saying that the Munoz fight proved that O'Malley wasn't good. I don't like get that. No one finishes Pedro Munoz early. Like, that's not a thing that's established. So not finishing Pedro Munoz in the first round doesn't prove anything about Sean O'Malley not being good or anything. But I'm definitely going to go with Petr Yan here by, like I said, 20-27 decision. Catching Sean O'Malley's legs as he starts doing all these awkward feints, he spin his head, stuff like that, teep kicks. Yeah, all the like kind of unique stuff Sean O'Malley does. Maybe just being too focused on doing that and trying to be flashy, then focusing on really trying to take out Petr Yan and getting his respect, sitting down power punches, and that's just going to be too much for him. And eventually, Petr Yan's going to come on strong, 10-8 in the third, and get this one done. But just ridiculously risky for Petr Yan. Risky for Sean O'Malley, of course, because he's got a lot to lose here if he gets finished in brutal fashion as well. But it'll go viral no matter the way this fight ends if it does. But yeah, I'm going to lean with Petr Yan in a very, very interesting bantamweight fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine the scenes right now of O'Malley on the canvas in UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, out cold. I want to see what the memes are going to be like. I want to see all the Shadow Realm, Sean O'Malley go into the gulag after he gets knocked out by Petr Yan. It'd be pretty funny. I would definitely make a few memes on that one, but it's very tough to see that one happening. It could definitely happen in the later rounds if O'Malley gets a little bit too comfortable with shaking his head and flicking his legs and things like that. But yeah, O'Malley's got a good chance of getting knocked out in this fight. He also has a good chance of just running away from Petr Yan, doing the Israel Adesanya strategy, which is like the only way I would see him winning. He's not going to win a firefight with Yan. He's not going to win a grappling match or a wrestling match with Petr Yan. He literally needs to run in this fight for his life, and Israel Adesanya uses reach, uses size to stay on the outside. But Yan's going to find that distance. And like you said, could be very dominant once it does hit round 3. Very possible finish, but it is a good one in the bantamweight division. If O'Malley wins, maybe a title shot. If Petr Yan wins, sad for him to say, but beating a number like 12, number 13 bantamweight, not going to get you another title shot against Aljamain Sterling. I'm assuming if Petrosyan is able to win this fight, they're going to do Petrosyan, Muradov next in the bantamweight division. I'd like to see that one, 5 rounds of action, because I think Muradov could have a chance to out-wrestle Petrosyan, but no, O'Malley doesn't really have that possibility. Should be a good one, 3 rounds of striking, maybe a finish. I got Yan decision. You got Yan 29-27 decision, a 10-8 round in round number 3. Next fight, we got the co-main event, a title fight in the bantamweight division. Aljamain Sterling and Shota Dillashaw. I know you're supposed to say Shota Yan, but I don't care. I'm going to add it to Dillashaw as well. The snake in the grass, TJ Dillashaw, 17-4, 36 years of age. Going out there looking still a little bit juiced up like Conor McGregor. That's what Aljamain Sterling is saying. He's still saying, I believe TJ Dillashaw is still juiced. I believe he's still kind of slithering around, going to the supermarket, going to the pharmacy, looking for some more needles to put in his ass. But you never know with TJ right there. Should be a good one here. 36 years of age for TJ, but that moves down to like 29 years of age with the juicy juice. Similar heights, but there is that reach advantage for Aljamain Sterling. Going to be a little bit taller, going to be a little bit lengthier, allowing him to stay on the outside and force TJ to go on their front foot and put on that pressure. I think that's going to be the thing that Aljamain Sterling does on the feet to get him the win, like Petrosyan was able to do or wasn't able to do in round number 1. He's coming into that range of Aljamain in those early rounds is a very tough thing to do because he's constantly throwing leg kicks at you, constantly throwing little teeps to the body at you over and over and over, jabbing a 1-2 and running away every now and then. So round 1, I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling to stay on the outside and mix in those teep kicks, those leg kicks, those jabs and 1-2s. I think round 2 is going to be where he tries to find that range for the takedown, wins that round. Round 3 will go TJ. TJ is going to rock Aljamain Sterling on the feet a little bit. Everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, TJ's about to make a comeback. And then round number 4, Aljamain's just going to be like, nope, get the back and hold on to TJ for all of round number 4. Round 5 is going to be a very exciting fight a very exciting round, as TJ will be realizing I lost round 1, I lost round 2, and I lost round 4. I need a finish. TJ is going to go out there like a juiced up freaking Alistair Overeem, coming over, trying to knock out Aljamain Sterling. He will win that round. Aljamain almost gets finished at the end of round number 5 in what will be a very good fight, but he'll still lose round 1, round 2, and round 4. Round 2 and round 4 due to the jiu-jitsu and the submission attempts of Sterling in round 1, due to the striking and staying at range for Sterling. Round 3, round 5 to TJ for landing some very powerful shots. Close fight here, but I lean Funkmaster Sterling, the almost paper champ for a while there, but then he did win a legitimate split decision on Petrosyan. Even if you want to debate down in the comments that, oh my God, Petrosyan won that fight, it's an okay argument to have because it was a very close one. I think this one will be as well. It's going to come down to those big moments. Can TJ land those big shots on the feet to overcome and kind of outperform what Aljamain is able to do on the ground with the submission attempts? I don't think so. I got Sterling by a 48-47 decision.
I mean, at least for me here, you might as well just flip a coin and see what goes to this fight. There's so many chances for something just crazy to happen in this fight. I'm leaning with, when the fight first got announced, I was leaning with TJ Dillashaw by TKO. I thought I would just catch him as the fight goes on. I've kind of flipped that now. I'm going to go with Aljo by rear naked choke in the 3rd round here. I was a lot more impressed by TJ Dillashaw in the Sandhagen fight, and it seems like the majority of people were. You got to consider he got a lot of injuries in that fight after the time off, and then he got the cut above his eye, it was dripping into Egypt, all that stuff. And you consider the fact that even if you thought he either lost the Sandhagen fight, still a very close fight. It was a good performance. So I do think that TJ Dillashaw still got it, but Aljo did prove to me in that the second Yan fight that he can hang. And there's just going to be so many moments in this fight where these guys are trading. There's going to be a moment where Aljo gets his kick caught and TJ swings at him. There's going to be so many moments of, oh, is this choking? TJ maybe goes for the guillotine. There's going to be so many back and forth moments in this fight. I think this could end up being maybe sleeper for fight of the night, just chaos wise. But I'm going to lean with Aljo, just wearing on TJ, maybe reopening that same cut from the Sandhagen fight, taking his back in the 3rd round and choking him out, and then moving on to whatever next. Maybe in some world we end up getting TJ Dillashaw or Sean O'Malley, however this turns out. But there's a lot of possible outcomes coming from this fight and the previous one. I'm going to lean with, and still Funkmaster to retain his bantamweight title here. But an amazing fight. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, it definitely could be a sleeper fight of the night because if you look at all the other fights, there's obviously a lot of sleeper fight of the nights, a lot of potential ones that could just be absolute bangers or absolutely horrible fights. This could be one of them that could be really bad or it could be really good. And Sterling could just do what he did against Petrosyan and control in the back and backpack and just kind of like little tap shots like this to the side of the head on Dillashaw. But there is also those moments of Dillashaw getting off the back like Michael Chandler was able to do on Charles Oliveira, laying in those big shots, Sterling running away, getting rocked in the feet, submission attempts, guillotines, rear nakeds, all of that good stuff in the fight. So good possibility of fight of the night for sure. Before we get into the main event, we're going to look at the comments one more time, and then we'll go to the best fight of the night, in my opinion, Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. Caitlin Chukagian, remember the name. Indeed, she's definitely the Belal Muhammad of that flyweight division.
Yes.
I know women MMA fighters, especially in the flyweight division, shouldn't be getting that many finishes, but you should at least have like one or two. Like, goddamn, Caitlin's been in the UFC for so long and has, I'm not even joking, 0 finishes inside of the UFC. She's just, she loves the judges. She loves to hear Bruce Buffers go on for 29-28, 29-28, 29-28, over and over and over again. Like, what is Chukagian getting a 30-27 or getting a finish? Never. It's only 29-28. So that is definitely a good nickname for Caitlin. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, at least get a couple. At least get a couple rear naked chokes or something. And by the way, I did offer Caitlin Chukagian's boyfriend Caio to come to Scotland and train me a couple of jiu-jitsu classes. The offer still stands if he's accepting that. But yeah, I just want to put that out there.
Interesting. But yeah, Caitlin, whatever her nickname is Blonde Fighter. What is that nickname?
She's blonde fighter. Self-explanatory.
Dude, she needs to change it to just Caitlin Decision Chukagian or Caitlin 29-28 Chukagian. Literally, that would be a perfect nickname for her. Caitlin, if you're watching this, I'm not sorry. You are not a finisher. Change your damn nickname. Nobody wants to hear Blonde Fighter. No. 29-28. Much better. Yo, Bird, I heard MMA Joey is stuck in a washing machine. No, I'm not helping stepbro MMA Joey. I'm not freaking doing that. No, get out of my chat, MP003. That's disgusting. Glad Mano Fioro isn't fighting Andrade because she's not on that level. Dude, I am as well, indeed. Could Mano Fioro beat Holly Holmer, Valentina Shevchenko? She could be both of them. Yeah, but I think Holly Holm's just too big. Like she's pretty sizable for the bantamweight division. Was a featherweight title challenger as well, whereas Manon is a flyweight. I'd say she loses both of them, but I think she puts up a good fight. MMA Joey is hungry again. Is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised in the comments? You're hungry? What do you expect me to say?
Someone needs to fill me in. I'm not filled in on this whole MMA Joey thing. MMA Guru's been talking about him. I'll be honest, I still don't even know who he is. I genuinely have no idea who this guy is. I've seen pictures of him and people calling him fat. I genuinely have no idea about the guy. So MMA Joey, I have no idea. I've got nothing to do with this. If someone could clue me in on that, it'd be much appreciated.
Well, he's a 4,005-pound UFC commentator type of a guy, and he likes to ban everyone from his chat. You can say, MMA Joey, your prediction is bad, and he'll ban you from the chat. Like, he doesn't ban any foods. He'll eat all foods, but he'll ban all the people from his chat. I'm like, ban at least some of this food, but MMA Joey he loves to eat. Every stream, he eats about 5,000 pounds of food, which is crazy because he ends up the stream 4,500 pounds. So I'm like, where's all that food going? But you see when he turns his stream off, that there's just a bucket like that big filled with the MMA Joey action figures that are, I guess, his poop. I don't really know. MMA Joey, he's in the chat again. Bert, I was banned from the local gas station. Did you try to drink the gas, Joey? What are you doing, man? It's not apple juice. God dang. I couldn't fill the fountain drinks with nacho cheese, so I poured it on the ground and rolled around it like a pig. Oh, my God. MMA Joey. You crack me up. This isn't actually the MMA Joey, but it's pretty funny. He likes to put these comments every now and then. Hap Chandler with a 99-cent donation. And like I said in a previous video on my second channel, MMA Joey Eats, Baby Hap Chandler. Baby maybe have Chandler for breakfast. I'm sorry. I don't know how you're donating to the chat right now if you're inside of MMA Joey's belly, but glad to see you're okay. And you have a phone inside his belly right now. Interesting. Oh, shit. You had a cell phone on you when I ate you. Oh my gosh, he did. Jan Bice. Jesus. You're making me choke. And I bet you would eat whatever's in my throat right now, MMA Joey. Gosh dang. Oh my gosh. Jesus. MMA Joey and Hap Chandler just making this stream crazy right now. All right. Now for a serious comment. Piotr Jan by submission, which isn't really that serious of a comment. He's not going to get a submission on Sean O'Malley. I can't shake the feeling that Piotr Jan is going to put an unholy smackdown on Sugar Sean O'Malley in round 2, round 3 for sure. We can definitely see that. MMA Joey says, I can't stop squirting in my diaper.
Well, you got to get that shit checked out. Go to a doctor or something, man. Come on.
I know. He has to roll to the doctor, and his door frames aren't really that big enough for him to roll out of the house. So usually you need like Alistair. I like to say it in a lot of my videos. You need Alistair over him on horse meat in his mouth. He needs to be eating a lot of horse. You need Stipe Miocic, Daniel Cormier. You need me. You need MMA Guru, all to lift you to the nearest McDonald's or doctor's office. But it's pretty interesting. Sean O'Malley will attempt a takedown. Watch. Maybe. Possibly. I smell like beef. All right. My diaper is stuffed and is starting to drip down my legs. I can't stop eating. I'm stuck in a doorway again. Gosh dang. You don't know the
phone. Call the police. Don't chat to us. Call the police.
The police don't. The cars are gonna break. I mean, we've called the police many times for Joey. Every car has kind of dented in the middle of the car to the ground. Like I'm being serious here. The Earth's axis around the sun has changed ever since MMA Joey has been born. I don't know how it's happening, but every time he does a little bit of a roll, the Earth spins the other direction to make up for the constant changes of MMA Joey's stomach. So I don't know. The scientists are trying to figure it out, but we have the answers. It's Joey. He's kind of changing the whole Earth axis. One of my favorite fights is TJ versus Borralho 1. With that, I don't know why I'm not as hyped for this fight. Aljo for the upset. Yeah, Hedon Borralho TJ was one of the biggest upsets in title fight history, maybe behind like a Matt Serra taking on George St. Pierre. Yeah, TJ looked like that was like prime TJ Dillashaw on that one. Looked absolutely amazing. Islam Smells, 0 finishes. Yeah, Caitlin Chukagian and Belal Muhammad have, I believe Belal has like 1 or 2 finishes in the UFC.
Yeah, submit to Cassius Sato. So
submission wins, but again, that was Takashi Sato is even in the UFC anymore? I don't really think so. Multiple Joeys. There's multiple. There's 2 of them. Oh my God. There's 2 MMA Joeys in the chat. All right. Interesting. Caitlin 2-9. Lol. Not sure what that one means. Joey, are you going to be able to weigh in at 125 pounds to face Valentina Shevchenko tomorrow night? I mean, if he cuts off his 3rd nipple, possibly. I don't know. That could be a possibility. Manon Fiorot will kill Jessica Andrade. Well, they're not fighting, so I don't think so. We're so fat, we slowly break apart and multiply. All right. Charles will humble Islam and Habib. Email Mason. This is a comment for you, Jamal. Jamal, Joey is the fattest MMA YouTuber, and he has really dumb takes. He bans people if you tease, poke him, or disagree with him, or he'll just roll on top of you. Either ban you or roll on top of you, and you will not be able to breathe. But interesting from MMA Joey. He eats the wrapping paper from the hamburger. All right. What is up, Blood Money MMA Bets? Great show. Thank you so much. We're about to get into the main events of Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. Anyone that wants to go down and subscribe to Blood Money MMA Bets and, of course, Jamal MMA Series. Stop vaping. Neither of us are vaping, so I don't know what you're saying. Bert, lay off the drugs, you little shit. All right. Who saw Guru go ape shit when someone asked him to vape with him? What? Yeah, these are some weird comments now. What'd you say?
I remember that someone asked to date with him in the Guru and he went on a long tirade. Yeah, I do remember that vaguely.
All right, so that is it for the comments. We got the main event now between Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. The fight I am most looking forward to on this pay-per-view. Obviously, it's the main event. You should be most looking forward to it. But Oliveira, I believe, has the most finishes in the UFC, possibly behind Jim Miller. But I think he at least has the most submission wins in UFC history, going out on a 13, 12 fight win streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 finishes in a row. Or sorry, not. I got that wrong. Tony Ferguson fight was a decision, but 10 finishes out of 11 fights, all in round 1 or round number 2, fighting Islam Makhachev, who is not getting the fights that he deserves. Going out there beating Armen, Petrosyan, top 10 UFC lightweight, Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, who were both in the top 15 when he beat him. Dan Hooker, I believe, number 13 or 14, and Bobby Green. You look at a lot of these names, they're not the most high level in the UFC's lightweight division, but nobody wants to fight Islam. I'm looking at the top 10 of lightweight right now. Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Rafael Fiziev, Rafael Dos Anjos, all of these guys either turned down Islam Makhachev or pulled out of the fight. Dos Anjos pulled out a few times, Beneil Dariush pulled out a few times. So if you're one of those guys saying Islam needs to beat better competition, when he's trying to fight that better competition, they keep on pulling out of those fights. So hopefully we don't get a pull-out situation here. Let's win one of the best wrestlers and one of the best grapplers in the lightweight division right now. My prediction, round 1, Islam will out-wrestle Oliveira. Round 2, Islam will out-wrestle Charles Oliveira. And round number 3, Oliveira is going to do what he always does, make a big, glamorous comeback in round number 3, get back to the feet. He's going to defend a few takedowns using the sweatiness and slipperiness of Islam Makhachev. That's going to not be able to get him a submission there, but it will be able to help him defend a few of these takedowns. And I think he's going to time a nice knee down the middle, either a flying knee right to the face of Islam Makhachev, a left hook counter as Islam's kind of bopping his head and coming to the inside to land the double leg, or that body lock takedown, or they're going to be in that clinch. Makhachev is going to go down for a single leg and walk right into a knee to the chin. So I'm going to go knee KO round number 3, flying knee KO round number 3, or a left hook counter in round 3 after Oliveira has got dominated in round 1 and in round number 2. Not necessarily dominated, because he will be mixing in some submissions and things like that. Loses 2 rounds and gets the finish in round number 3.
I'm going to be going with Charles Oliveira by TKO in the very first round here. I think we're going to have a very fast-paced first 30 seconds of this fight. Oliveira comes out, just like jump front kick. Islam shoots in, gets brushed off. We're having a bunch of exchanges. Immediately thinking, Jesus, this fight's going off very quickly. And then at some point, maybe about 2 minutes into the first round, Oliveira just clips him with an uppercut. Maybe, like you said, I could see a knee as well in the clinch, clips him. Islam goes down, he's rocked, and he's just sitting there covering himself up. Maybe a bit like the Juan Adams, Greg Hardy fight, he's just not moving. Oliveira's just hammering the side of his head, and the referee has to stop it. Everyone goes crazy. Khabib's just sitting there, not again, not another one. He's lost again. Hasbullah's in his cage, just going absolutely crazy. And Dana White's going, I don't even know what to think now. And then the crowd's just going absolutely berserk. Charles Oliveira's done it again. I think this is a really tough fight for him, man, because we've seen the competition for Islam, like you said, it's not been the best, but he's been beating them impressively a lot of the time. Specifically for Oliveira, he's a tough matchup. But I'm going to lean with Oliveira here, just clipping him with something in the first round. I think David Hamill can do it. If Adrian Martins can do it, I think Oliveira can do it as well. Very underrated striker. And the power we've seen against Gadzhi was something else. Man, Gadzhi talked about how hard Oliveira hit him. It's the hardest ever been hit before. And I could see that coming to effect here with Oliveira clipping him with something in the clinch. Makhachev goes down and just can't recover quick enough. And Oliveira wins back his now currently vacant lightweight title and becomes a 2-time lightweight champion.
Yeah, it's going to be a great main event. Either it's going to be, like you said, a very fast early finish from Charles Oliveira, maybe a later finish after a little bit of wrestling, like I'm saying, or we're going to see a pretty boring fight. But either way, I don't think it's going to be a boring fight. I saw some interview from Justin Gaethje saying that it could be one of the best fights of all time in the lightweight division, besides Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. Or maybe it could be Islam just grinding to a decision, but I highly doubt that'll happen. Even if Islam is able to land those takedowns and control Oliveira on the ground, it is still going to be very exciting. Like a Mateusz Gamrot, Arman Tsarukyan, a lot of scrambles, rear nakeds, guillotine attempts from Oliveira, triangles, arm bars. The grappling sequences in this fight, if it does get there, is going to be absolutely insane. But we're in agreement that he will catch Islam on the feet with either a knee or a punch in round 1 or in round number 3. One of the best fights of 2022 behind, in my opinion, Yuri Prohaska, Glover Teixeira, which, I mean, immediately as I saw that fight, I knew it was going to be an absolute banger. This is another one of them. You know it's going to be a banger. There's no chance, even if it's a 30-second finish, even if it's a 5-round war, either way this fight goes, this will be a banger of a fight in the lightweight division. Maybe fight of the night. Both got Oliveira by TKO. Before we go in and look at the whole entire card for anyone that missed it, I'm going to look at the betting odds really quick, and I want to ask you if you agree or disagree with them. And if you disagree, what odds would you have instead for all of these fights? So number 1, we got Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Right now, the best odds you're going to get from Oliveira is plus 185. Islam at minus 245. You agree or disagree? If you disagree, what odds would you
have? That's tough, man. Islam was a really big favourite. The fight first came out, wasn't he? He was a very big favourite.
Minus 400 favourite.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous as well, considering both of them. I would definitely have it more close than that. I'm not sure by how much more, but I mean, a lot of fights in this card I think are very, very even, and especially these ones in the main card a bit recently. So like you said, that the original opens for Islam were ridiculously. That's definitely just. I don't know how the odds came in like that, but yeah, I would have it much, much closer than that.
The next one, I would definitely agree. I would have Oliveira minus 115. I'd have Islam Makhachev minus 105. I'd literally have it the slightest lean you could possibly give it, because it is just that close of a fight in my opinion. And I do slightly lean Oliveira. The next one we got is going to be the championship fight, Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. Aljamain is at minus 175. TJ is at plus 150. What do you got on that?
I think that's pretty fair, actually. That's pretty fair. I would agree with that. Those make a lot more sense, at least. They might know the most perfect odds. Those make a lot more sense than the main event ones, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, the odds started out as Aljamain as a minus 220 favor. They had TJ like plus 185. I do believe the movement coming down to Aljo around minus 170 was the good thing to do. It's right around where I would kind of put it. Minus 175 does make a lot of sense because he is going to be the better grappler. He's going to have the better kicking game. He's younger, he's taller, he's lengthier. A lot of good advantages, but there's no way you could have him as a 2-1 favorite. And it's not really one of those pick-em type of fights on the card where it could go either way, in my opinion. So it's a good one, though, in the bantamweight division. We got Petr Yan, Sugar Sean O'Malley. This one is an interesting one, as the best odds you're going to get get Sean O'Malley's at is plus 325. Petr Yan at minus 435.
I mean, that is a lot, but it does make a lot of sense. I'll be honest. You could slim it down by just a bit, but in consideration, I do understand it. That one actually makes no sense to me of any of them so far. So slim it down a little bit, but I can understand why they are how they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally think it's a little bit too much. I would have Petr Yan maybe minus 250, maybe minus 240, a little bit over a 2-1 favor instead of a 4-1 favor. I still feel very good about Petr Yan winning, but there is that aspect in my mind thinking about freaking Israel Adesanya doing what he always does every single fight, and that does worry me. So I think those odds should be a bit closer, but it is a very good fight in the bantamweight division. Next one is lightweight, if I can find it. Beneil Dariush, Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot is going to be a minus 200 favorite, 2-1. Beneil at plus 165.
Beneil plus 165. Also, I don't really disagree with that one either. Actually, I'm not too into betting. Usually, the way I look at fights is through the Tapology votes, just the public figures. But as far as that goes, pretty decent again. I wouldn't have much of a problem with that one either. I can't really disagree with that completely either. No.
And this is an interesting one because the Tapology predictions are exactly the betting odds. 66% to 33%. That's literally 2-1 on Tapology, 2-1 on the betting odds. So one of the first ones I've seen where the betting odds actually reflect what the audience and what the fans are thinking. But personally, I would have Mateusz Gamrot minus 150. I don't think it's going to be that dominant of a performance from Gamera. There is that possibility Dariush can clip him on the feet and knock him out. I think it should be a little bit closer than 2-1, but I do understand why Gamera is this big of a favorite. Then we got the women's MMA. Chukagian, Manon Fiorot. Manon Fiorot, in her biggest fight of her UFC career, is at minus 225, and Caitlin is at plus 176.
Make it a bit closer, just because I feel like we don't really know that much about Fiorot. She's not got too many pro fights, so I'd slim up a little bit, make those odds a bit more even if I had to add something.
Yeah, I would agree. Just slim it down a little bit. 2-1 on the #1 contender when you've only beaten in the UFC's women's flyweight division. Is just Jennifer Maia is your biggest win. Should be a little bit closer in my opinion. Belal Muhammad, Sean Brady. I think you'll agree with this one, as your prediction was Belal Muhammad to win. But Belal is at plus 117. Sean Brady at minus 150.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with you there. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
I would have it flipped. I'd have Belal, kind of how I would have the Oliveira Makhachev one, because I have the underdog here in Belal Muhammad, not confident at all, as it is a very pick-em coin flip type of one, but I'm going to have Belal minus 115, Sean Brady at minus 105, very competitive one there. Another one we disagree on here, so you'll probably switch the odds around here, is Lucas Almeida, Zubaira, Tukhugov. Betting odds for this fight right here is Zubaira is a pretty sizable favorite, actually, at minus 165. Lucas Almeida at plus 135.
You know what? I actually don't disagree with either. I know I do have the prediction, but I do understand that a lot more, because I can understand Almeida being underdog there, especially with, Tukhugov being training under the Khabib camp, stuff like that. I actually don't disagree with it, to be honest. I mean, I know I did have the opposite prediction, but yeah, that does still make a lot of sense to me.
I would say it makes some good sense as well. But if you're going to be betting that fight, like we said earlier on, Lucas does have some value. You had Lucas winning. I had Zubaira by a super close split decision. So plus 135 is some pretty decent odds on that one. We got Caio, Borralho, Makhmud, Muradov. I would like to say I definitely agree with these odds. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I might actually say that these betting odds should be a little bit more in favor of Caio Borralho. Caio is only a 2-1 favor over Makhmud Muradov. Makhmud is at plus 170.
Yeah, probably usually a bigger favourite. I can agree with that. Yeah, a bit of a bigger favourite, but people probably still have quite a lot of hope in Muradov as a prospect, so maybe that slices it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the odds started for Caio as almost a 3-1 favorite. Had a cough there really quick, but money's actually coming in on Makhmud Muradov, which is very interesting. And like you said, there might still be some hype on all the KO TKO wins earlier on in his career. Next one of the biggest favorites of the card, Muhammad Mokev at minus 700 to Malcolm Gordon at plus 500.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I don't think Gordon's the biggest test from Mokev. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree as well. Good parlay piece in the flyweight division. We got, Nikita Krylov, Volkan, Oezdemir. I would agree with this one as well. Nikita Krylov is at minus 168, so like a medium-sized favor there. Volkan at plus 150. So I would say that's quite fair for this light heavyweight matchup.
Agreed. That's pretty spot on as well, in my opinion.
Abubakar Nurmagomedov, Gadzhi, Omargadziev, a weird fight on this card. But I believe if I can find it really quick, it's kind of hiding me from it right here. Abubakar Nurmagomedov is at minus 180 over Gadzhi Omargadziev, almost a 2-1 favorite over Gadzhi Omargadziev. One of the weirdest lines I've seen on this one. I definitely disagree.
Yeah, a weird fight, and definitely disagree with that. A weird line, yeah. I guess it's the second name value. Cap means a lot. But other than that, I think people are just looking at it purely because of the Nurmagomedov name. If you're looking at the fight, I think you definitely would have to lean with Gadzhi. So yeah, I don't disagree with that one.
Armen Petrosyan, 2-1 favorite over AJ Dobson. I like to say I would agree with that. Got the kicking advantage. It has a little bit of a wrestling advantage, so that seems a little bit fair at -200.
Yeah, I agreed as well, because Dobson did lose a bit of his hype as well for the debut after the kind of cease fight. So yeah, I agree with that one as well.
Now we got women's MMA. We have Karol Rosa at -250 over Lina Lansberg. I don't know if I agree with this one because I don't really give Karol Rosa the biggest advantage in strike and the biggest advantage in wrestling, but she does have the advantage everywhere. So I would say maybe -200, but seems right around where I would expect it to be at -250.
Yeah, I can agree with you. Make it just slightly closer, but yeah, but with the age and the gaps in between the fights as well, yeah, I could see that.
And then last one on the card, Magomed Mustafaev, a 6-1 favorite over the 19-year-old with double the amount of fights as Magomed Mustafaev at +500. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I kind of agree with it. I kind of do agree with it. Yamato has been finished a lot on the regional scene. All three of his losses, I believe, are TKOs, and Magomed is a TKO machine. Huge power in his feet and in his hands. So I don't know if I would bet it, but I do agree with him being a very sizable favorite, especially on short notice.
Yeah, I don't massively disagree with it. I guess you could come into value that we don't really know much about him. Nishikawa could have a bit of a shock factor, and Magomed's been out for a while, so maybe he could lean slightly more with him and make it a bit of a closer line. But yeah, not too dissimilar to what I would have either.
All right, so that is UFC 280. Oliveira Makhachev, 15 fights in the card. Main card is stacked. Prelims is stacked. The whole card is freaking stacked on this entire card. We only disagreed on, I believe we said 2 fights in the Sean Brady Belal Muhammad and Zubaira Tukhugov Lucas Almeida fight. We have all favorites, and then I have underdog Belal Muhammad, and he has underdog Lucas Almeida. But there is some live underdog possibilities for Beneil Dariush. We do have another underdog, Charles Oliveira, as well. But there's a live possibility for Beneil Dariush to be another underdog there, in my opinion. A lot of the fights on here are close matchups, which is why it's going to be an exciting one. Make sure to go down, like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, not only for my channel, for the man, the myth, the legend, Jamal MMA series. The link will be in the pinned comment down below, as well as in the description. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Good stuff, man. See you later.